Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm Gabriela Pinasco. I'm a news and documentary master's student at the journalism school. And during the summer, I work with Pumamaki organization. It's an Ecuadorian NGO dedicated to protecting the natural environment of the Serena community and its surrounding, located next to the Yanganates National Park, which is those mountains that you can see over there. That's where the Andes and the Amazon intertwine or reach. The biggest risk that this region faces is mining, both legal and illegal. Just in this province, Napo province of Ecuador, 10 rivers have been declared death by scientists. So my work consisted in two different things. One was directing a group of workshops with the community. And during these workshops, as you can see, we talk about effective communication on social media, free and accessible tools for impactful communication, organizing press conferences and writing press releases, techniques for recording and editing videos, the power of public speaking, and let's talk about rights. This workshop was super extensive, and it talked about indigenous rights and the rights of nature, which are recognized by the Ecuadorian Constitution. So this was one part of my collaboration with Pumamaki, and the second one, more broadly, for the 11 weeks that I spent over there, was creating content and documenting the indigenous resistance and resilience against mining. So I have to record the indigenous assemblies that happen every 15 days in this community and around 7 communities close to Serena, documenting the actions and the activities of Pumamaki, conducting interviews with community members about their resistance to mining, recording joint actions with other NGOs, and creating a portfolio of crafts by Yuturi Warmi, as the one that I'm wearing right now, because for them is a way to earn money and resources instead of falling into mining as a way to earn money, basically. But a big part of this work was documenting the contamination, giving Pumamaki visual content that can show people the true face of mining, which is this beautiful rainforest next to this horrible mine, which is connect next to a river. So these are some of the ways that mining ends up polluting polluting the rivers. The discharge of waste and heavy metals into the rivers. The same investigation that declared these 10 rivers as dead also find out that many of the rivers that surround this zone have up to 500% above the permitted limits of this kind of heavy metals, aluminum, magnesium, lead, zinc, and also the removing of sediment and soil muddies the rivers. And the people from these communities, they drink the water directly from the river. They don't have the pipelines or the water system that we have in the cities. They do not. They take all the water directly from the river, and those rivers are now very muddy because of all the soil. And it's rainforest, so it rains all the time, and flooding is very common. All that chemicals and all that sediments, when it rains, it mixes with the water of the rivers. There's also the soil contamination. This footage was taken by foot with a cell phone. So you can see the removal of soil and vegetation basically leaves the land exposed to erosion. The loss of vegetation cover reduces soil fertility and its capacity to regenerate, and this indigenous community basically live from their chakra. It means harvesting their own food. Heavy metals accumulate in the soil for years, and they affect the ecosystem and these people's health. You can see, like here, you can check 3 mines. There's also one right there. I didn't put a square there. But Serena community is right here in the border. It's the last standing community where mining has not reached yet. But you see how close mining it is? And this river is the river that connects the community. So from here to there, it's already polluted. But here, where Serena is, the river, because the river comes directly from the highlands, from the Andes, it's still clean, and it gets polluted right here, from this first mine. The results of this work was the creation of a community-led communication team. They didn't have a proper communication team to talk about their struggle and their resilience. Now they do, because of the workshops that we did with Pumamaki. Content also that stayed with Pumamaki Foundation to strengthen the indigenous anti-mining resistance. The first portfolio of craft produced by the Yuturi Warmi, which is a female indigenous guard, and photo and video archive for the community for communication campaigns. But why is this so important right now? Because I don't know if you have watched the news of what's happening right now in Ecuador, and the strikes that are happening. The indigenous movement is going against the government because the government recently eliminated a subsidy of fuel, but that's just one part. The other part is that the government eliminated the Ministry of Environmental Issues. So right now there's no control system, governmental system that can tackle down the problem of mining and pollution, because there's no anymore Ministry of Environmental Issues. And the government has till now called indigenous people as terrorists because of the protests. So what we're seeing is a criminalization of the protests and of indigenous people. So now more than ever it's important, at least for Latin America, to talk about indigenous rights and rights for the nature. I know it's, at least in Latin America, it's just recognized by Ecuador and Bolivia, but it's also important to consider that if we do not take care of our nature, and of course the Amazon, which is the biggest rainforest of the planet, what will happen with us and all the world in 10, 30 or 50 years. So I think that's my conclusion. It was extremely important for me to be here for those 11 weeks, and I really hope that the work that we did together can harvest more interesting and important things for this struggle. And I also wanted to thank Gallatin, our teachers, Basuki, and our amazing fellows. Thank you so much for this great opportunity.